Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Hello and welcome in, friends, to another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. It is Thursday, October 15th, 2020 in the beautiful city of Chicago, which means it's supposed to be Thursday night football when we make our confidence picks, but we don't get to do that this week because of COVID-19. Instead, all the football games will be on Sunday proper, so we're still going to make our confidence picks in just a little while, but we also want to just talk a little bit of sports with each and every one of you. First of all, thank you so much for making us a part of your day. You can follow me all over social media. I'm on Twitter at MikeMMedia, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media, and of course, the show is on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. So before we get into the actual confidence picks that you can see right over here, not next to Spider-Man, you see Spider-Man right there? There we go. We are going to talk a little bit about some of the news that just broke earlier today, and the big news is LeVeon Bell is going to sign a one-year deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. And obviously that's a big deal because you have one of the favorites in the NFL getting another offensive weapon. And obviously the Jets did not want to keep him. There was rumors that it was either between the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Chiefs. And there were a lot of different reasons why you could have been excited for each of these different reasons. If you were a fan of the Bills, obviously it's another weapon that really legitimizes your team and really gives another weapon to Josh Allen. Obviously, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're adding to Clyde Edwards-Helaire and you're giving another weapon to Patrick Mahomes. You're giving an insurance in case you do get an injury at running back. You have an insurance policy if something happens to Tyreek Hill. We already seen what happened with Sammy Watkins. They have Mecole Hardman. So this is just a smart move for the Chiefs and for Le'Veon Bell. But locally, here in Chicago, there was a lot of talk. Even Dan Patrick, the national media, was talking about Le'Veon Bell to the Chicago Bears. And this is my issue with that whole sentiment to begin with. This team has had talented running backs since Matt Nagy has been the coach. And they've done nothing with them. We saw with Mike Davis. Christian McCaffrey in Carolina goes down. Everybody thinks not only is the season's over, but that it is a position that cannot be replaced. They gave him all that money. And mind you, he is irreplaceable. But Mike Davis goes in there and has lit it up. So obviously there's talent there. What happened to Jordan Howard? How great has Montgomery been? Tariq Cohen? It's like you're seeing what they're doing with Cordell Patterson. I don't trust Matt Nagy. I don't trust Ryan Pace to get the offensive side of the ball to become more heavy orientated with the run game. That's not what they're doing. They're throwing the ball 40 times. Even before Nick Foles was out there, that's what they were doing with Mitch Trubisky. So, okay, you bring in a Le'Veon Bell. Does that mean automatically they're going to change their entire offensive philosophy? Absolutely not. And this is the difference between being a legendary coach that goes to coach for 25, 30 years and has a coaching tree and a flash in the pan coach. It's being able to move around your offensive set for what the players do great. To change your way of thinking so that you put your players in the best place possible to succeed. Has Matt Nagy done that? I think Matt Nagy's a good coach. I think he has very interesting offensive schemes. I think he gets a little cute sometimes. I think he doesn't have time management skills. With that being said, is he Andy Reid? Absolutely not. So when you hear that he's going to Kansas City, that they're going to get Le'Veon Bell, you automatically think if you're a fantasy football owner, that guy's going to get a lot of points for people, right? You automatically think, oh man, let them get into the red zone. You think they're dangerous with just Travis Kelce in this team now that they have Le'Veon Bell, right? Would you have felt that way, though, if he came to Chicago? Absolutely not. No way. Because you don't trust the offensive scheme. You don't trust the head coach yet. I'm not saying you hate the head coach. I'm not saying the head coach can't be great one day. I'm not even saying that you can't win with Matt Nagy as your head coach. All I'm saying is I've seen what he does with running backs. He doesn't need another one because he doesn't use them. No matter how talented they are, no matter how highly scouted they are, no matter how much people beg of him, no matter how many times he promises you in the media that they know what they're doing, they're not idiots, that they're going to incorporate the run game. They don't. So I don't see how bringing in LeVeon Bell was going to change that. And now we know that it never was part of the deal, Bears. So what does that say about the offensive scheme? What does that say about this team? That are they in the rest of the NFL considered favorites? They're one of the weakest, 4-1 teams, the softest 4-1 teams. And again, in the NFL, win is a win. But it says something, I think. That, I was never confident in the Bears going to make this move. Just like I wasn't confident they were going to go after Cam Newton or Teddy Bridgewater. Because this is the same organization that not only is horrible at playing offensive schemes for running backs, didn't they miss on Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes? So I'm not surprised that they missed on another offensive weapon. So that's my initial thoughts on Le'Veon Bell, the rumors the last few days. I think it was kind of interesting that was one of the landing spots a lot of people thought. Well, I'm like, have you not paid attention to this Bears team? They're not out there signing these players. So the Dak injury. So we mentioned on the Monday edition of Sports from the Couch that I know a lot of people are second-guessing what Dak did in not signing that, $100 million, $100-something million deal with Dallas when he was first offered it. I mean, look, I get it. That's a lot of money to all of us. But when you're seeing some of these dudes get paid, I mean, Nick Foles got paid. Dak should get paid. And Dallas was playing hardball. But again, Andy Dalton is a professional NFL quarterback. Are you more confident with Andy Dalton leading the Cowboys to a Super Bowl than you are Dak Prescott? Of course not. It's nice to have Andy Dalton as your backup because he could start for a lot of teams in this league, but he's not starting over Dak Prescott. That's a difference maker. The one nice thing about Dak when it comes to him coming back next season, if you're a Cowboy fan, if you're a fan of the quarterback himself, he's a pocket passer, right? That's the one thing you hear from a lot of scouts, from a lot of the insiders. So having a broken ankle, while it sucks now and the rehab is there, that arm is never going to go away. The real question is, can you put a defense in Dallas? Can you put two sides together at the same time? How about you get a coach that's competent? Like Mike McCarthy didn't have to show you more in Green Bay when you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback and you don't win anything, that he carries you to one Super Bowl? Aaron Rodgers is 15 times more talented than Tom Brady at the quarterback position when it comes to athleticism, arm strength, all that other stuff, right? But Tom Brady is a better winner. Not because he's a better player, because his coach always put him in better positions, always put his team in better positions. They were disciplined in Bill Belichick. That's not what Green Bay was with Mike McCarthy, and that's not what Dallas is with Mike McCarthy. And it's like, I'll use an analogy for all you wrestling fans. Jerry Jones is the Vince McMahon of the NFL. He doesn't leave well enough alone, and he can't get out of his own way. There's no excuse. The Dallas Cowboys have no excuse to not have a Super Bowl every 10 years. At least one every 10 years. In this NFL, where there's so much parity, there's so much turnaround, no excuse. That's why Pittsburgh is always in it. Green Bay is always in it. Sort of. Dallas is never really competent enough, even when they're the selected favorites in the preseason. So, I would let me put it to this way. Wouldn't you love to see Dak Prescott, the quarterback of your Chicago Bears? So why wouldn't Dallas sign him? If a team is desperate enough, we'll see how that plays off. But he's going to get paid one way or the other, either if it's that franchise tag or if somebody gives him a contract. And finally, before we make our picks, because it is a Thursday, but there are no games, we're not on a time crunch here on Thursday night. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful Thursday, a wonderful week. I hope you're ready for a weekend full of sports. Locally, the Chicago White Sox have really taken the heart of a lot of different people nationally. Here in the city, obviously, both North Side and South Side, everybody has their diehard fans. But I really just want to get to this right now because I didn't want to wait till the weekend. The fact that there's even real rumors that Tony La Russa is a consideration to be the new manager of this White Sox team, I don't find it laughable. I don't find it confusing. I find it downright disrespectful to White Sox fans. No, full disclosure, I try to be as professional and objective as I can when I'm here on Sports from the Couch, here on Mercado Airwaves. But outside of here, I'm a Cub fan. Obviously, we're on the different side of the studio. We're here on the pop culture side. But, you've seen the Cubs stuff, the World Series stuff, all the, social media, all the pictures, the season tickets, whatever. This White Sox team has gained so much goodwill from not just the city, not just the fan base, but outsiders who are like, they're an interesting team. They're a nice team. They kind of want to go the analytic way, but they also want to have a little bit of fun. They have a culture to them. And obviously, as a Hispanic man, it's great to see such diversity on a team. That's good. That has MVP candidates. That has no-hitter stuff in its rotation. That has a very dedicated, maybe not the biggest when it comes to the other team in the city, but a dedicated fan base. Wonderful, wonderful stadium. Has all the makings of a great organization. You have some goodwill. You get to the playoffs. People are predicting that you might be a World Series team next year. And what do after you get rid of a pitching coach of 20-something years and then your manager, because they're a little too old school because rumors come out that they don't want to listen to the analytic department and Coop and Renteria? You go after Tony La Russa, who literally in February is telling reporters that he wants to get back into the game to go back to the ways things were. You want a 70-something-year-old man going to that ball game, that ballpark, that clubhouse with a bunch of 20-something-year-olds who love the game, that are having fun, that are excited for this grouchy old man? Who, by the way, say what you will, still is griping over Colin Kaepernick? Not just in 2016, in 2020 is still bitching about it. That's the guy you want with a bunch of Cubans, Dominicans, awesome black players that are in that locker room? That's who you want. Because that's what's going to happen if you bring in Tony La Russa. Is you're going to bring all that garbage in to that team. What does that say about the front office? And I'm not talking about Rick Hahn, who's been an awesome general manager as far as I'm concerned. I'm talking about Jerry Reinsdorf, who gets another person who gets a lot of goodwill for making all these moves in the organization for the Chicago Bulls. Gets out of this incestual relationship that they have with their own organization, get people from the outside, and look at this. Good things are starting to happen. And then his baby, the team that he loves more, the team that he would get rid of his 6 titles for another World Series ring, he wants to bring a 70-something-year-old white dude who's bitching about Kaepernick and analytics to a young ball club. How does this make sense? But yeah, you don't want to bring in AJ Hinch, who quite frankly just did what everybody else was doing in the late 2010s, early 2020s? What are we doing here? What are we talking about? Could you imagine if this were the Yankees or the Dodgers, people would be losing their minds. But it's the fact that it's the White Sox. Now, I got to give full credit to White Sox fans who have given so much backlash towards this. The league does not need Tony La Russa anymore. And the White Sox fans deserve better than that. They deserve a progressive thinking manager that's going to be in step with the front office, that's going to get the best out of this team, that's going to help the South Side try to bring a championship to their fan base. That's garbage. Garbage. But with that, let's go on and move to the NFL. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about the White Sox and this crazy news that I don't know how much validity there is towards it. It was Bob Nightingale who said it, who has a direct contact to Kenny Williams. That's always been the joke here in Chicago. But even if where there's smoke, there's fire. So if there's only 5% truth to this, that's too much. That's already offensive. And even if we were to take away all the BS that he said, do you want Tony La Russa as your manager? Yeah, his past success is awesome. 20 years ago. Some of these dudes who are playing for the White Sox weren't born when he was at his best. So let me know your thoughts. Twitter, Mike M Media. Instagram, Mike Mercado Media. And, of course, on Twitter, at Couch Sports Talk. Let's get into it. It's week 6 in the NFL season. No Thursday night football. So we are in our traditional Sunday lineups. And we will start off with Atlanta and Minnesota. Atlanta firing their GM and their head coach. Who knows what happens with Julio Jones? Who knows what happens with Matt Ryan? Minnesota desperately looking for a win. I think they're going to get it, and we'll see what happens in this tailspin that is that Atlanta Falcons team that just has not been right since 28-3. I mean, that we always talk about losing a Super Bowl is heartbreaking and it's hard to bounce back, but to lose in a Super Bowl in that way, yeah, no wonder. Ravens, Philadelphia, we'll go Baltimore in this matchup. I mean, Philadelphia in the worst division in football, only going to get worse. Baltimore, I still don't feel like they're 100% there offensively. They're not clicking all the way that I think we want. Lamar's looked a little off, and it doesn't look like he's running as much, which might just be preserving him for the playoffs. But at some point, they're going to go off on a team. And this might just be it, and they might just really put the nail in the coffin of this Philadelphia season. So I'll go with Baltimore in this matchup. And here we go. Here's a fun one. Chicago, Carolina. So obviously, if you are into the news space, there has been a COVID test in Atlanta, and it seems like it's only somebody in the coaching staff. Carolina played Atlanta last week. So how will this affect the Chicago Bears? The Chicago Bears have a few coaches who are in quarantine right now because of COVID. No really rumors or rumblings about the game being postponed or canceled. With that, Carolina's played really well, even without Christian McCaffrey. Teddy Bridgewater, has had a really nice little season. And I think a lot of people were expecting that from him. I don't think anybody was thinking he was going to blow the water out of the place, but he's done a lot better. DJ Moore, and it's a good team. I like Carolina. They don't have a defense. Then you go to Chicago's side. Simply put, can they put points on? If they put points up on the board, they're going to win this game. And that's the case for most games the Bears are going to be in. Because, again, defensively, even if they're not top 3, they're definitely top 7, top 8, still that top tier of defense. So I'll go with Chicago. I'm not 100% confident in it. You are going to Carolina, but I feel like the Bears are going to, at this very least, this game, I think this is one of those games where they're going to try to feed David Montgomery, and we'll see how it plays out for Nick Foles. We'll see. He's one of the streakiest quarterbacks. That's the one thing you hear from a lot of people, a lot of smarter people than me, is Nick Foles is one of these guys who, when he's on, he's one of the hottest quarterbacks in the NFL. But when he is off, he is as cool as the Arctic. And it is the damnedest things. It is the reason why he's still in the NFL, but it's the reason why he's on, his 6th team? So I'll go with Chicago in this one, but it's going to be interesting. Cincinnati, Indianapolis, I'll go with the Colts in this one. Imagine had the Colts signed Cam Newton. I mean, I like Phillip Rivers. I always was one of these guys that just wish San Diego would get over the hump. I loved him and LT and Antonio Gates. Like, I love that San Diego team. Now that they're LA and whatever. I love Justin Herbert, though. But it's just not him anymore. And I think T.Y. Hilton isn't the goods anymore. Trey Burton has come back. He's a nice add to them. I mean, it all comes down to Jonathan Taylor and that defense. It's another one of these matchups where they can run the clock down, they could get time of possession, and they make you only score, 17 points? What are you going to do? Cincinnati looks nice with Joe Burrow, but you talk about jumping off the cliff. I mean, A.J. Green, who one of the better receivers in the last, 10 years. I mean, is he still there? Is he still the goods? I mean, we know how good Tyler Boyd is. So I'll go with Indy in this matchup, but Joe Burrow, mess around. He'll win you a game. We have the Browns and Pittsburgh. I'll go with Pittsburgh in this matchup. You talk about good defenses, Indianapolis and Pittsburgh, top tier. And then Pittsburgh was an interesting thing. There's some contention between Pittsburgh and LeVeon, so I'm surprised that it was even a rumor. But there was the rumor that maybe LeVeon looking at Pittsburgh again. That would have been interesting, but they got James Conner. And we've seen what they did with Chase Claypool, and they have Juju Smith and Eric Ebron, and it's a stacked team. They're a good team. They're going to win. And I think Cleveland wins this game. Watch out. We got ourselves a crazy, crazy race at the end. But I feel like Pittsburgh is just going to kind of win this one. This one seems like it's more window dressing, and we're going to look at it, but when we actually get our hands on it, we're not going to be as in love with it. So I'll go with Pittsburgh in that matchup. We have the Broncos and New England. Not sure what's going on with Cam Newton. Still going with the COVID thing. So even with that, Bill Belichick is going to have so much time to plan for either Drew Lock or whoever the hell the Broncos are going to throw out at quarterback. So I'm going to go with New England. They're just going to run the ball all day and dink and dives. And, yeah, New England wins this matchup. In Foxborough, yeah, New England's going to win that matchup. Jacksonville and Detroit in Jacksonville. So here's the thing. Jacksonville is not that great of a team, but they just seem to put points on the board all the time. And Detroit, I mean, they'll Detroit it up. That's the problem. It's like, yeah, you got Kenny Golladay and you have Matt Stafford, and what else? Like, that's the real problem with Detroit. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville in the upset in this matchup at home. You can see that more people are picking Detroit, but again, like, I don't trust Detroit going to Jacksonville and winning a game. And it's not like Gardner Minshew's some scrub. Like, he can put up points and keep up with Matthew Stafford. So I'll go with Jacksonville in that matchup. We got Houston and Tennessee. And Tennessee is the better team. Tennessee can actually go to the Super Bowl. It all comes down to Kansas City, obviously. But they're a team that, if everything went right, they're a good enough team that they can go to a Super Bowl. Houston, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? It shouldn't have taken this long to fire Bill O'Brien, right? But you give no help to Deshaun Watson. You sign him with this money. You use draft capital on him, but you don't give him any help on the offensive line. You give him a over-the-hill running back, who I like David Johnson, but a little over-the-hill, and you get rid of one of the best receiver in the NFL right now, in DeAndre Hopkins, for said running back. What do you think was going to happen? And then you're putting it all on Deshaun Watson like it's his fault that this is happening? Yeah, no kidding, because you got rid of everything for him. You told him to win in a gunfight and gave him a butter knife. So I'll go with Tennessee in this matchup because Derrick Henry is just trucking fools. But R.I.P. Josh Norman. But, yeah, Derrick Henry is just going to touch the ball like 30 times and get like 170 yards. Yeah, Tennessee wins that matchup. We have Washington and the Giants. Shout out to Alex Smith. I mean, dude almost loses a leg in a National Football League game because of infections after he breaks it. And all these, 2 years later, 3 years later, he's back in the NFL. And not just that, he gets Aaron Donald to ride him like a horse and somehow, survives. Shout out to Alex Smith. Washington is garbage. I love Ron Rivera, but Washington is garbage. I don't know what they're doing with Dwayne Haskins. Do I think he's a world beater? No. But should he get benched and be inactive? Probably not. I mean, again, this is the thing. Would you take the chance on him if you had a team that didn't have a quarterback and you weren't getting Trevor Lawrence? Right? Like, if you were desperate, if you didn't have a quarterback, if you were the Bears, and you were 1-3, 1-4, 0-4, 0-5, whatever, you were bottom tier, wouldn't you take the risk on Dwayne Haskins? I mean, mind you, you would be in the race for Trevor Lawrence, but, right, like, wouldn't you take the risk on a guy that you don't know anything really about? So, I don't know Washington. The Giants, the hottest of hot mess. For some reason, people refuse to say Daniel Jones is not good. He's not good. Like, I feel like I'm watching a creative player of just another Eli Manning, but not as good with as many weapons and that great defense that Eli had. You don't have Saquon. Evan Ingram, is all name at this point, but at what point, like, he's not Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews or Darren Waller. Like, what weapons do they have in New York? That defense gives up points all day and every day. They give up a huge game to the Dallas Cowboys without Dak. I mean, this is a weird game. I'll go with Washington in this matchup. They're a pro team. I'll go with Washington in this matchup. Maybe at this time Gibson goes off, actually, instead of, everyone was predicting he would, 2 weeks ago. But maybe he'll go off in this one. We have the Jets and Miami. Look it. I'm going to go with Miami in this matchup. The Jets are going to win a game, aren't they? Like, at some point, they have to win. Sam Darnold's not going to play. You get rid of Le'Veon Bell. Your best player is Jameis Crowder. The defense is horrible. But, like, this is still the NFL. Are they going to go 0-16? And do you trust this Miami team to be the one that's, like, going to hold home field and beat them? Like, yeah, I'm going to pick Miami, but I'm not, like, ecstatic about picking Miami. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick's having a nice season. Devontae Parker. Geis and Gillespie, like, yeah, they got parts, but I'll go with Miami just simply because New York is that bad. But I'm not excited about picking the Dolphins in this matchup. It's probably the only time where I'm like, you definitely could pick Miami, though. We have Green Bay and Tampa Bay. Aaron Rodgers going down to take on Tom Brady. I mean, the Buccaneers are just limping right now. Godwin and Evans and Miller. You don't know what's going on with Fournette, Ronald Jones, Tom Brady. You lose O.J. Howard. Rob Gronkowski looks like a refrigerator running out there. So probably Cameron Brate's going to get all the love. And Green Bay, I'm going to pick Green Bay winning down in Tampa. Green Bay is Devontae Adams okay with the hamstring? And is Aaron Jones going to be a guy that consistently is able to be the workhorse? Obviously, he's going to get all the carries. But what I'm talking about is, can he stay healthy? Can he be consistent? If you're a fantasy player, you know he gets a lot of touchdowns and bundles, and they can kind of just disappear a little bit, get in the background a little bit. Will that happen this time? I think Green Bay is just going to take control of this game. I think Tampa Bay is good. I don't think they're as good as we all thought they were. I don't think Tom Brady has the same goods that he had before. And obviously, this isn't a Bill Belichick team. I like Bruce Arians. I wish he was at one point a Bears head coach instead of Trustman. But, I mean, at this point, I got to trust Aaron Rodgers. And I think Green Bay is one of these teams that really has a chance to get into the Super Bowl. I don't think that's Tampa Bay. So I'll go with Green Bay in this matchup. We have the Rams in San Francisco. I mean, Jimmy G gets benched. They're talk about injuries just ravishing a team. That's what's happened in San Francisco. And it's like I've been saying since we've been doing these confidence picks the last few years here on Sports from the Couch. If you don't win the Super Bowl, it's nearly impossible to bounce back. It just is. It's so rare. Unless like you're Seattle or something, it's so rare to bounce back after a Super Bowl loss. So I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. I think Jared Goff can have a nice little game. Henderson and Brown can run the ball, and Cooks and Coop will get their, Woods and Cup will get their dues. And on Monday Night Football, that was your Sunday Night Football game, by the way, in the West Coast, the Rams and the Niners. And we have two Monday night games. We have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills playing on Monday night. Game one, the early game. Interesting matchup at Buffalo. Kansas City's going to put up points. Josh Allen's a good quarterback. I'm going to go Kansas City in this matchup. I mean, okay, here's the thing, right? If you were ever going to pick against, well, is Kansas City going to lose 2 straight games? I get that they're both road games, but are they really going to lose to the Vegas Raiders and then Buffalo the very next week? I don't think so. So I'll go with Kansas City in this matchup. I'm going to be under the belief that I'm going to have to be proven extremely wrong many times to stop picking Kansas City. So I'll go with the Chiefs in this matchup. And in the final game on Monday Night Football, the Cardinals and the Cowboys. Kyler Murray, this is it, right? This is the moment he breaks out on Monday Night Football. DeAndre Hopkins, please, Kenyon Drake, please, please, please. I mean, please. So we'll see, but I'll go with Arizona. I mean, it's just such a shame. Can you imagine the fun we would have had? Kyler Murray and Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper and CB Lamb and DeAndre Hopkins and Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds, and just would have been an awesome, fun game. Larry Fitzgerald, and it would have been an awesome one. Instead, Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket himself, will be out there. But I'm going to go with the Cardinals winning in this matchup, and that is it. We have made our predictions, and of course, we have to put our confidence points on these. If you're new to here, we get the numbers, and we put how confident we are in each one of our picks. So we look around, and are there any? I think this is one of the weird weeks where there are some matchups that aren't so obvious. I mean, I think the Rams beating San Francisco is a pretty big one, although obviously having to go to Santa Monica is always a little tough. I'll still go with the Rams. As for right now, I'll put them up pretty high up there. Baltimore, another one I'll put up pretty high, but we'll see as we go on how confident we are in them. Keep looking around. New England, I'll put New England up there right now. That might change depending on what happens with Cam Newton, but if Cam is playing, they might even go up a little bit higher. Looking on just a little bit more, I like Arizona. I'll put them up. Again, it's not like Andy Dalton can't win games, but I just feel it's one thing to win a game when your quarterback came in after Dak gets injured. It's another thing when you get tape on somebody, you get to game plan for somebody for an entire week. So looking along, Minnesota, sure, but I kind of like Indianapolis a little bit more than them. I definitely like Pittsburgh a little more than them. Keep looking around. I like Miami. I like Green Bay. So looking around, like, what am I not 100% confident in? Like, I'm not 100% confident on Jacksonville over Detroit. I'm not 100% confident on Washington over the Giants. Miami, I'm okay with. So, like, Chicago, Carolina, I'm going to put that, like, at 6 points. Again, I'll go with 5 points just because it's a tighter matchup, you know. Tennessee, we'll put them up right there. I feel like we could put Miami a little bit higher. Just kind of looking around right now. Yeah, I think Kansas City, I'll put a couple points on. I mean, I'm guessing like right around here is where I'm really confident in them. We'll go right here. We'll move this up right here. And, of course, we'll go ahead and repeat this if you're listening to us on the podcast form where we let you know how it all goes down. And, of course, please be up to date with us on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. We might adjust these depending on what happens Friday and Saturday and Sunday mornings, afternoons before kickoff. Sunday is when it's locked. So keep an eye on our Twitter. We'll let you know if we make any changes and any different adjustments. But this is just what we're looking at on Thursday before typically kickoff. A little bit later on this edition since there was no Thursday night football. But that's how we do it. Sometimes we might make our changes that way. And let me just take another quick scan as I look around, see if anything else piques my interest, any other picks that I think for sure can happen as I look around. And I feel pretty confident about everything else moving around this way. Let me move it up that. And I think we're good, guys. Let's go ahead and run it back down. I have 14 confidence points on the Rams beating the 49ers. 13 confidence points on New England beating the Denver Broncos. 12 confidence points on Baltimore over the Eagles. 11 confidence points on the Cardinals beating Dallas on Monday Night Football. 10 confidence points on Pittsburgh beating Cleveland. 9 confidence points on the Colts over the Bengals. 8 confidence points on the Packers beating the Buccaneers. 7 confidence points on the Titans beating the Houston Texans. 6 confidence points on the first Monday Night Football game, Kansas City over Buffalo. 5 points on the Bears beating the Carolina Panthers. 4 confidence points on the Vikings beating Atlanta. 3 confidence points on Miami beating the Jets. 2 confidence points on Washington over the Giants. And 1 confidence points on Jacksonville beating the Lions. And a really quick adjustment as I was looking at this, I will put 4 confidence points on Miami beating the Jets and 3 confidence points on the Vikings beating Atlanta. And that is it, guys. That is our confidence picks for the Week 6 of the NFL season. Thank you all so much for joining us. Hopefully you all are enjoying your week. Hopefully you are enjoying a soon-to-be awesome weekend. But until then, make sure you guys are following us all over social media. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media, and the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and shares wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Guys, we're on all major podcasting platforms thanks to you. So please continue to support at Mercado Airwaves. You can become a producer of the network, get our interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities, enter to win contests, and so many other cool things at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag. Christmas is around the corner, guys. Holidays are around the corner. Get some awesome gifts at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. And of course, we're all over the network. The Pop Culture Show at The Good Brothers with the awesome host, the good brother himself, Alex Mercado. The amazing podcast, the Gone Missing podcast with Alyssa and Nicole Mancha. Check that all out at The Good Brothers Pod on Twitter, at Gone Missing Pod on Twitter for each of them. And they're all over the Twitterverse, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts, just search the Gone Missing Podcast or the Good Brothers at Mercado Airwaves. Thank you all so much. Make sure you guys are liking us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves that are watching us here. Thank you for making us a part of your day. And YouTube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Hi, guys. Hi. We're waving to the camera because we love you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you, and thank you
We will see you next time. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Enjoy all the games. This has been Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.